Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm up at a very grey and overcast Loch Turret where I discovered two waterfalls to photograph. I have an encounter with some of the locals, and towards the end of the video I decide to stop battling the elements and work with them to create quite an unusual image. I kind of like the way the mist is pouring over the side of this hill. The cloud just lingering on the top of this hill here, and that dramatic blue behind. And there's a beautiful kind of almost orangey glow to the hills in the background. I'm going to keep an eye open for a bit of foreground interest here. We've got these ferns, but if I could find some heather, the heather's all on that side, which is annoying, but if I could find some heather on this side, I think that would make for quite a nice foreground interest. In fact, you know what, I might just set up just now and use these ferns as the foreground. I don't want to miss that light. Okay, I took that shot with the ferns as the foreground, so that's the first shot of the day. Always good to get the first one in the bag right. And I do kind of like this path just winding off into the distance. I wonder if there's a shot of that. So you got the path, the heather here, and those beautiful clouds in those mountains. So what I'm doing just now is I'm basically just firing off shots handheld. I've got the ISO set to 200, and that's allowing me to have a reasonably fast shutter speed of about 1/50th of a second. I'm shooting at f8 and basically just grabbing images of whatever catches my attention. I'm loving the colours here. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Considering it's such a mute and overcast day. And we have some rain on. This is amazing. Beautiful. This little tree here, or shrub, whatever it is, standing out above the level of the rest of the road has caught my eye. And you've obviously got the leading line of the path, and then the mountains in the background with the mist. Again, I think it'll be quite a subdued, muted colour type image, but I quite like it. I will keep it in colour. I don't think I'll convert it to black and white because I want to retain these purples in the heather. I can't really remember how far along the path I got on this side, but I did get to the point where I was level with a big waterfall which was tumbling down on this side, so I don't think I've got particularly far to go before I hit that first waterfall. Famous last words. I like this again with the ferns, the heather, and then those trees in the background, and those now almost obscured mountains. Not quite see a shot here. Oh, maybe now. Yeah, maybe now when you get the snaking path kind of leading the eye around and up to the trees in the background. I'm pretty sure I can hear some running water now, so I must be getting close to that first waterfall. Well, we definitely have some water pouring over the path here, but I don't think this is the dramatic waterfall that I saw from the other side. At least I hope not, because it's not as dramatic from here. That's quite nice actually, isn't it, with the slab of rock there as the foreground. I quite like that as well. Problem is there's not an awful lot going on in the sky. I wonder if I can find a better angle. Just move back up here. Yeah, it's a slightly better angle, isn't it? Now you've got these beautiful colours in the ferns and in the heather. This has some potential there. There's a foreground with that tree that I'd shooting as a background. I kind of like that, it's nice. This water's obviously pouring across the path and then down into the loch. I still don't think this was the dramatic waterfall that I saw from the other side, but I'm going to cross the water. I'm going to cross the water here and get up onto that little grassy verge and see if we can make a shot with those waterfalls, the heather and the tree. Now, before I've even started, I can see what my problem's going to be. If I try to use a long exposure to drag out the water and get that kind of motion effect, those ferns are blowing in the breeze, so we're going to have motion in the ferns as well. Ach well, needs must. So yeah, going to cross over the water, get up onto that grassy knoll, and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, what do you think of this? These little cascades are lovely. Another one there. You've really only got this one patch of heather and the one in the foreground, so I'll probably have to go quite wide. Just noticed the remains of an animal over there, so I don't know if I want to include that. And then the tree. Okay, I kind of like this scene, so I'm going to try and find a couple of alternative viewpoints. At the moment I've shot focusing on these heathers in the foreground, including this cascade, and that one in the back, and then ending the composition just above the level of that tree. The problem is there's a lot of dead space, no pun intended, considering there's a dead deer there, but there's a lot of dead space in there. So what I might do is get down low, emphasise the heather. We might even lose the deer behind this heather and these rocks, and that should in theory compress the distance between the tree and the cascade. It'll make the cascades larger in the frame and should reduce the amount of sky, so we don't have to worry about burning out the sky, and all in make for hopefully a more pleasing composition. I need the wind to stop blowing those ferns, but I'll show you in the back of the camera. This is essentially the shot that I've got here. I've got the cascades centre frame and to the left of the frame. I'm including still these rocks and that heather. The heather on the top there, obviously, and the heather up there. Unfortunately, we lose that top cascade because of the curve in the stream. But we make up for that with the lovely lichen and that beautiful orange colour in that rock there. But my problem is the ferns are moving. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that other than wait around and hope the wind drops. This is beautiful, and it's all the better now the rain's off. I haven't seen that dramatic waterfall, so I'm wondering if maybe that was the waterfall back there that I was shooting from the other side, and maybe it just looks more dramatic from afar. We'll keep looking, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that I've gone a lot further now than I did when I was on that side of the loch. I think I stopped around about here, and I'd already passed the waterfall on the other side by this point. So that one that I was shooting may well have been the falls. Yeah, I've been following these sheep there for the last 5 minutes. Oh, are they about to leave? They pulled into a passing spot and let me go. If only all our tourists were as obliging. I know I'm always saying it, but got the place to myself again. There was a few camper vans in the car park, but none of them had risen yet. I got here about, I think it was about 6:30, 7:15, something like that. So they were obviously all still asleep, and I've passed nobody on the walk so far. So, my kind of morning. Yeah, I've got the light on the ridge over there now. Yeah, I've got the 16 to 35mm lens on. It's pretty much at 16mm, because the shot I had in mind before that light hit was these ferns as the foreground, then the loch, then the mountains in the background with the dramatic clouds beyond. But now that we have some direct sunlight on those hills as well, that kind of adds to the shot. So I quite like that. It looks as if it would be improved greatly by a lot more direct light, but it is what it is. What do you think of this view? I'm actually crouched down right at the side of the path, but I noticed you've got this view all the way down from the path, which takes in some heather, some coloured ferns, and then ends with a little tree at the bottom there silhouetted against the loch. Nice shot, that. Anyway, onwards and inevitably upwards. This is nice, I like this, especially with those berries on the tree giving you a little colour contrast, and just a little hint of heather on both sides of the falls. Yeah, I might cross over, get onto that little shingle bank there, and see if there's a shot to be had. In fact, I might be able to do it from here. Yeah, we have a couple of problems with this particular composition. If I come onto this, the right hand side, then you kind of lose the impact of those falls. The left hand side, you probably get the impact from those falls, but you lose the berries. So it's a bit of a compromise. And also, that's actually quite deep. The camera's probably not picking this up, but that's a good few feet deep, so I probably won't be able to go in there without the water going over the top of my wellies. I'm going to move round to the other side and see if we can make more of the waterfall, but it looks like I'm going to have to lose those red berries in the process. I'm shooting both horizontally and vertically. I'm at 100 ISO, 16 to 35mm lens. Wide open, it's about 20mm, something like that. F11, and it's given me an exposure of about 1.5 seconds. So I'm just playing around with that. I'm wary again of the fact that we still have a breeze, the leaves are moving, so I'm having to take that into account when I'm selecting the shutter speed. I think if I could be sure of getting back out from down there, that looks as if it would be quite a nice shot. But that's a fairly steep drop with another fairly steep drop immediately after it. I think more telling is the fact that there are no obvious paths, so I don't even think the sheep have tried it. What I do like though is this line of trees and that bed of heather leading down to the loch. I wonder if there's a way down here so you can get most of that. This is quite nice, isn't it? Probably have to be about here. Like that, with the carpet of heather in bloom. So after a frustrating few minutes where I was hoping for a drop in the wind, I decided instead of battling the elements I might work with them, and as I was using a reasonably long shutter speed anyway to drag out the water, I decided to go wide and include as many of these moving branches and leaves as I could, thinking that the final image might give the impression of a really windy day, you know, and you could detect the motion in the trees. And I've got to say, I'm quite happy with the final image. Right, well, I got that shot. I also, while I was at it, I didn't do anything to camera, but while I was at it, I took a shot of the waterfall that I didn't think I could get down to. So we'll see how that worked. That one where the line of trees was leading the eye down over the carpet of heather, that looked all right at the back of the camera. That might actually be my favourite image from the day so far. Let me know below what you think of it. It's a bit unorthodox. On my way back to the car, I seem to be getting drawn more and more away from the loch and towards the heather, just looking for little patterns, little compositions of the, you know, the heather and the ferns. I managed to get in close to the rock, but it was impossible to exclude the sky, so I had to take like 3 separate exposures because the sky was just burning out. But while I was in there and amongst all the rocks, there was some little holes in the rock and stuff like that, and I was suddenly hit with the thought, do we have adders in Highland Perthshire? So I couldn't get out of there quick enough, which is why I didn't do anything to camera. I've no idea if we've got any adders in Highland Perthshire. If anybody knows, could you leave me a comment? But I didn't want to wait to find out. I heard quite an unusual noise, and I stopped to see if I could find out what was causing it, and 2 young deer ran past, just down a bit from the path. I think I managed to catch one of them on the video camera, but I've never heard a deer make that noise before. It's almost like a hiss. Unless, of course, they were taking the piss out of me because I was worried about adders a second ago. It's probably that. It's always good to include a couple of the locals in your videos, give context, you know. I just heard what sounded like a grouse, but not that long after the 12th. I had to keep my mouth shut, that was it. Anyway, still nice view, isn't it? Right, I know it's getting repetitive, but I'm back at the car park.
and I didn't see another human being for the entire walk. Quality. Anyway, that's it for another video. Hope you enjoyed. Give it a little thumbs up if you did. If you haven't already hit subscribe, then hit subscribe, hit the wee bell, and that'll give you an update every time I post another video. And if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, I'll leave a link below. But in the meantime, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, bye.